Hi Pisces, it's Majori here from the Punk Priestess, and thank you so much for tuning in. This is your Tarotscope for February 2022. So I cleansed here with Palo Santo, with Florida water that's available in my shop, and let's get into the reading. So you're going to be having your moments this month at the start of your sign, and this year in the astrology is very powerful for Pisces because you have Jupiter in Pisces, and it feels at home because right before Neptune was discovered, Jupiter was a ruling planet for Pisces. So very cool. And you also have your home planet of Neptune in Pisces as well. So a lot of great, beautiful astrological support here. So what I'm starting out with is the signifier, which is the main energy happening. And I like to combine my readings with Oracle and tarot cards, astrology, all the things will be included. And I'll show you pictures after this reading of the spread. So what I have here, very strong start, is the Hierophant showing up. So the teacher is here. The teacher has entered the chat. And then I have lust. Ooh, do you have a crush on a mentor, a coach, a teacher, someone in your life? I mean, very sexy energy right away. But the Hierophant, this can be, someone with very strong Taurus energy and placements as well. The Hierophant is Taurus, and this was actually the card of 2021. So kind of thinking back to who were you getting wisdom from? Who were you getting mentorship from? Or were you that person? Were you the teacher? Were you the coach? Were you the person who was kind of leading a group and laying down some wisdom? Was that you? And this lust is coming through here to kind of bring you back to the sensual energy of Taurus, sensual energy of this kind of figuring out what turns you on. And sometimes this can be knowledge. Sometimes this can be what just sparks your interest, which, it's like a mental stimulation, a mental turn on. And that's sexy. That's hot. So pull Paris Hilton. So it's definitely, thinking about this energy, about like what is mentally stimulating you and what mentally turns you on, and how do you want to get more involved in this type of energy or with this type of person. Maybe there is someone in your life who's teaching you things. Maybe it's, even sexual exploration as well. Or even you're teaching yourself, that you're reconnecting with your sensuality, reconnecting with your lusty side. And, Valentine's Day is right around the corner, and, what sign that loves love more than Pisces, that romantic rom-com type fantasy. My Venus is in Pisces, so I totally get it. But I feel like definitely with this Jupiter energy, it's enhancing the sensual side of Pisces, and it's really bringing it out, and we're like expressing it more. So, you're feeling the heat, you're feeling on fire, and you're feeling sensual. So really fun start. I'm just going to be pulling some tarot cards here for the spread. Ooh, this is cool. Okay, so this is kind of, under the layer here. So I'll show you what I'm pulling and then we'll go through. So I had the Knight of Wands reversed here. I had the Hierophant again reversed. And then I had the Six of Cups reversed here. So really interesting. So we have a little bit of this duality coming through with the Hierophant. So let's just start off with that energy. So we have it upright in combination of lust, but then we also have it reversed here. So it's kind of saying like, make sure you don't take things too far. Have a safe word. But, if you are really involved in something, if like your brain, your mind, it's like in tune, it feels like it's time to, learn. It's just, making sure you don't lose your mind in the fray, in the excitement. This is kind of like cult energy sometimes. It's like, we get very acclimated into that program, and then it kind of like takes over, and it's like, well, can we think for ourselves? Or is everything that we do in connection to this cult or in connection to these group of people? Like, you know, kind of making sure we don't get ourselves lost in the teachings of the teacher. And also, if we are the one who's in that position of teaching, that we still learn from our students. You know, we don't think that we're this, you know, cult leader, higher all-knowing power, and taking advantage of people's innocence and naivety. Making sure there's that boundary that, you know, you can still learn from your students, like, and, you know, your students are learning from you. It's definitely a very connective energy that's, you know, we share together. So it's like being open to that, being like very mindful of like, okay, are these teachings, you know, my own, or are these beliefs someone else's that I'm adapting, and, you know, how are they relative to my experience? And, you know, contemplating who you're getting your wisdom from, who you're getting your teachings from. And sometimes, you know, we gotta turn that mirror onto the teacher and being like, is this a responsible choice? Is this where I should be putting a lot of my time, energy, emphasis? Like, yes, this topic might be, you know, very fascinating to me, but is this the type of teacher I want to get, you know, this type of knowledge from, you know? Or if it's like me, am I being a responsible and, you know, honoring, you know, the cultures that I'm, you know, getting this wisdom from, and, you know, not appropriating something that isn't mine, you know? So it's definitely, you know, thinking about that, having that type of mindfulness. And, you know, it's really, you know, sometimes like someone can call themselves a shaman or a guru or whatever, and it doesn't mean that they know diddly squat about what they're teaching. And also it's like, there's a lot of appropriation and a lot of work like this. So, like that. So it's like thinking about, you know, what are you committing yourself to? What is your brain being, like, what information is your brain absorbing? Is your brain, you know, infatuated with, you know, the topics? Or is it time for you to kind of step out and be like, ugh, this might not be healthy. This might not be the right response. Yes, I can still be into this, but I got to find a better way to learn about it, or through someone who, you know, is actually indigenous to this type of medicine, who I can learn from. So thinking about that. All right. So I had the Knight of Wands reversed here. So, you know, it's definitely like your season hasn't started yet. We're still in air energy, and a lot of things are kind of, for you at least, still trying to be figured out. You're still trying to figure things out, because when your season starts, you want to like wrap things up with a nice, beautiful bow and tie up any loose ends, because your season is all about endings in a way, and adapting to the cycle of life, so you can have a new beginning in Aries season, so we can all have a new beginning in Aries season. So, you know, there's a very beautiful lesson and message with endings, and that's where your strong point is in. So that's why it's definitely, you know, when it comes to your time and energy, you know, what needs to be reframed, what needs to be receded in a way. It's like, you know, you were probably so involved, so inspired, so enthusiastic, so connected to this person, this teaching, whatever it was, this job, this energy. And then you're realizing, you know what, it could be kind of problematic, or I'm losing myself, or I'm like way too deep. I need to pull myself out, and you have to extinguish your own fire accordingly. And if this person isn't you, then it's maybe someone, if this isn't aspects of yourself, it's probably someone else in your life, gender inclusive, that you're like, you know what, you're a little too deep in this cult. We got to pull you back. We got to give you a sense of reality. You know, it's like, what is it? Is it someone like a friend who's like way too deep in a relationship that might be unhealthy, or it's like they're losing themselves and you got to pull them out of the fiery depths of their own self-destruction. You know, sometimes we have to be those people to like give the reality check to others, but also making sure that you yourself are like turning that mirror and putting that reality check back on yourself. But you're kind of like, you know, I got to extinguish the fire. I was like super involved, super heavy into this, and it's like, it's a little problematic. It's actually taking me away from like my main purpose. It's distracting me. And, you know, Pisces, you have a tendency to do this because, you know, sometimes it's more fun to not live in reality. It's more fun to kind of live in your dream world and create your own escape and fantasy. But, you know, it's a beautiful energy, but it's also sometimes you do have to pull yourself out of those watery depths and be like, yo, I was like fantasizing about this person for a week. I'm obsessed, but I don't even know their last name. You know, sometimes it can be like that. You know, it's just like we gotta give our own selves a reality check of like, ugh, you know, what have I been diving into too deeply about? And maybe it's not that serious. Actually, maybe I don't even really know this person or the situation. And I'm just like adding my own layers onto it, like creating my own story. So that could be going on. 6 of Cups reversed here. And sorry, trying to get it clear. There we go. 6 of Cups reversed. And this is kind of like an end to nostalgia in a sense. It's like, you know, you might have been too deep into the past, into nostalgia, into the daydream, and a lot of childhood stuff. Like maybe you used to be, you know, very fantasy driven as a child. Maybe you still are, or maybe you're just like thinking about a childhood crush, or just like a lot of like things that feel like home to you. But it's also kind of like, this isn't, you know, your reality anymore. You have to kind of shake things up. It's like, yes, you can get inspiration and wisdom from the past, obviously. You know, that's how our dreams take off. But it's also like you have to deter when you're living in reality and when you're living in a fantasy. And the 6 of Cups reverse just kind of like, you kind of need to pull yourself out through the heartstrings a little bit. And, you know, kind of thinking about childhood healing wounds and stuff like that. Like, why do you feel so compelled to dive in this energy? Why do you feel so compelled to be, you know, super connected to this like form of teaching or this person? Is it because there's things in your childhood you're still recovering from, you're still trying to grasp that you haven't healed from? So this year is going to be a very healing year because we have Jupiter in your sign. So it's going to be very beautiful, but it's like healing. It's very mysterious as well. So, you know, there could be a lot of like childhood things coming up that, or just like young energy coming up for you of like why you're so attached to certain things at this moment, or certain people, or certain like practices, etc., etc. Okay, so I'm pulling here an oracle card in connection to each of these tarot cards. Okay, interesting energy coming through. So I'll show you and then we'll walk it through together. So I have Bubba here in connection with the Knight of Wands. I have, show me your original face, the face you had before your parents were born. Try to get that clear for you. There we go. And then I have here shapeshifter in correlation to the 6 of Cups reversed. Okay, so let's start out with Bubba. So, you know, this is definitely like some type of spiritual connection here. And, you know, you might be thinking about your spiritual upbringing. You might be thinking about, you know, what do you feel spiritually connected to? Or maybe you don't. Maybe you're atheist. Maybe, you know, religion or just spiritual insights just mean nothing to you, which, you know, it's fine. But, you know, Bubba is just kind of like this connection to source, connection to nature, connection to our guides, like energy, universal energy. We can't escape it because we're all energy. We're all part of energy. We're all part of this connection here, this thread that winds us together. And, you know, for you, it's just like maybe you're like unenthusiastic about something as well. Maybe like you thought you were into this, maybe you're not into it, or a person, or even just like work that you're doing, creative, you know, projects. Maybe it's time for you to be like, you know what? I actually don't want to do this right now. And that's totally okay. If you don't feel like doing it, that's totally fine. But it's also like, you know, why do you feel like you got to retreat? Like you got to dap in your own fire? Like, why is this energy coming through? And, or maybe it's someone that is kind of reckless and you're just like, I need to stay away from this energy. It's problematic. It's triggering. So, you know, it's kind of contemplating like, what's the bigger picture here? Like, why are you moving accordingly? Or like, you know, retreating or moving in a new direction when you were so gung-ho on something? Like, why? Like, what is this like really coming from? What's really driving you? What's really motivating you to make these changes and make these choices? You know, it's kind of for you to contemplate and decide. Show me original face, the face you had before your parents were born. So this is soul stuff here. So does not want to be, there we go. So this is soul stuff. So this is definitely with connection to the Hierophant reverse. It's like, you got to really go back to your true form, which is your soul. You got to feel if in your soul, does this connect with me? Do these teachings, does this practice, do these people, does this work, environment, relationship, does this connect with me on an authentic level? Or is this just something that, you know, I'm going through the motions, I feel like I got to do? You know, think about that for a while. Think about, you know, how is that something that you want to continue with or move forward with? And, you know, this is beyond your parents' influence. This is your own quest. This is your own light. This is your own truth that you have to have as your guiding force. No one can do that for you. That's the work inside. And that's what the Hierophant reverse is trying to show you. It's like, yes, you can get inspired. You can get mentorship. You can get coaching. You can, you know, take a class. You can get more involved in something. But you also have to make sure that you separate your soul from that and you really are authentic and true to yourself and to your purpose in this life. No one can teach you that. Only you have that through your intuition and inner voice. And then, you know, shapeshifter comes through. Like, do you feel like you're a shapeshifter? Or do you feel like people in your life are shapeshifters? And that's going to be the duality with the Hierophant upright and the Hierophant reversed. It's like, who's the shapeshifter energy in your life? Is it you? Or is it someone in your life? Like, they, you know, show one face and then there's someone else. You're just like, wait, I thought you were all love and light, and then you end up, you know, being a horrible person. You know, it's like that kind of energy. Or it can just be like, you know, even within yourself, it's like you see yourself conforming or shifting and molding to appease these things or to uphold these beliefs or to do this job or commit to this relationship, but really it's not you, you know. And then it's like, you know, what from your inner child are you protecting? Are you protecting aspects of yourself from your inner child, from your past that you felt you weren't seen, that you felt in order to fit in, you had to go down this path and be friends with these people, or, you know, still acknowledge aspects of your parents that, you know, weren't really for you? And, you know, just because your parents believe in something doesn't mean you have to believe in it. Doesn't mean you have to live your life that way. You can still, you know, pretend, of course, you know, just uphold a relationship with them, but doesn't mean that it's the right choice and direction you want to take for your life. And that's totally fine, because you're your own person. You're here, you know, to live your own life. You're here to live your authentic soul truth purpose. So, you know, beware of the shapeshifter energy in your life, and also beware and be mindful of how you're shapeshifting yourself to conform to certain ideas or relationships, whatever it is. Okay, so I'm going to pull an astrology card and another tarot card to wrap up. Okay, so very strong energy. So I'm pulling the 11th house, which rules Aquarius. We're in the 11th house right now. And then I'm pulling Justice here. So there is this strong energy of weighing the scales. There's a lot of like very judicial, like teachable moments here. And with the 11th house, it's in correlation to other people. And, you know, with this energy, it's really like trying to separate your own individuality from the group. And it's like, what skills, what specialness do you have about you that separates yourself? Yes, you can still, you know, be friends with people from a certain group, but it doesn't mean that can fully needs to consume you, because you have to be rational. And it's time for you to kind of take off that blindfold and really see the truth for what it is and judge accordingly. If there's a judge, you are it. That's a card in Morgan's Tarot. And I always think that when this card comes up, because it's like you really have to use your mind. You have to use your wisdom. And that comes from you. It's not someone else dictating you and telling you which side to choose. You got to choose accordingly, you know, what is best for you. And, you know, even sometimes people involved, you might have to make that choice if they can't make it themselves. But the 11th house is just like being very mindful about the groups you're in, being very mindful about how you're showing up not only for yourself, but for others. And also being mindful of like, how are you shape-shifting in these groups? And is it because you want to keep balance, you want to keep the peace, or is it a detriment to yourself and to honoring your own spirit? So you definitely have a lot to think about. There's a lot of very strong, heavy energy here, kind of enforcing you to stay in reality and don't get dreamy about it. And, really kind of pull yourself like out of the past in a way, so you can try to see what the clear picture is, because you don't want to go in blind in a situation. And then before you know it, years go by and you're trying to get out and you wasted time when you knew it wasn't what you really wanted in the first place. So, a lot to think about, a lot to marinate for you, Pisces. So that is the reading for your Tarotscope for February. And if you want a personal reading with me, head over to my website. I have readings on sale right now. And I also have astrology readings too, and lots of other really cool vintage spell candles and trinkets to shop with as well. So thank you so much, and make sure you subscribe to my channel, and it was a pleasure, and I'll see you next month.